Hey, what's up? This is Aeroplane here. This week we look at singer-songwriter, all-around handsome dude John Mayer. He's had a prolific music career with multi-platinum albums, Grammy Awards and such, with a well-known interest in fashion as well. It's safe to say he is something of a style icon. And I'd like to look a little deeper into that, not just identifying some of the brands that he likes to wear or how to copy one or two of his looks, but really his attitude to fashion and what we can take from those ideas. Because honestly, the variety of what you might see John Mayer wearing really transcends the just wear brand XYZ formula that these videos tend to take. To spoil the conclusion of this video, how to dress like John Mayer is as much about this as it is about these. But first, let's talk some of the brands and some of the looks that he's clearly interested in. It's no secret that he is a massive Acronym fan. In the brand's early days, he would put through such large orders that Errolson ended up looking into it personally himself to see who was buying all this stuff. Since then, John's been seen on countless occasions not only wearing Acronym gear, but talking about it in interviews, like he mentions the Acronym Prestos in the Hot Ones interview, even appearing with Errolson in interviews too. And he had a guest feature in the video made to promote the Acronym and Nike collab Air VaporMax, which was really cool, and I would definitely suggest checking that out. Aside from The Rock and Vin Diesel in the upcoming Fast and Furious film, he is probably the most high-profile wearer of this brand. But despite that, and despite some people calling him techwear dad or whatever, he doesn't really epitomize the techwear style. Yes, there might be times where he rocks an all Acronym, all black getup, but just as frequently, perhaps even more frequently, you'll catch him mixing up Acronym not just with more colourful variants of techwear clothing, but more casual non-tech stuff. It's no secret that he wears Acronym P10s a lot when he's on tour, when he's on stage, but obviously he's not gonna mix this with like loads of layers and a jacket and stuff. You know, he's trying to perform, he's got to be fluid, nimble, and need to move around and stuff. So I'll probably just pair it up with a t-shirt or something else that's fairly plain. And that's not often seen in the world of techwear. In terms of colour as well, whereas a lot of people, when it comes to colourful techwear gear, myself included, you'll have that one colourful piece and then everything else all black, so it kind of stands out. It's that like focus, little peacocky aspect. But John Mayer will pair multiples of these pieces together, so the whole outfit is really bursting with colour and uses all these crazy different tones and really has very little black at all. Those kinds of looks might still be very performance heavy and have a lot of utility, but in terms of the colour palette and the overall aesthetic, it's very different to what you might typically imagine with techwear. That alone shows John Mayer's willingness to do things a bit differently, but it would be very reductive of us to say that John Mayer's style is just techwear but with different colours in, or techwear mixed with some other brands and some more casual stuff, because you'll often find him wearing things that don't really resemble techwear at all and are totally different. In fact, classic Americana and the Japanese take on that is something that you'll very frequently see John Mayer wearing. Again, no secret that he's a massive fan of Japanese brand Visvim, and this brand does exactly that. They will take inspiration from classic American workwear and even Native American patterns and motifs, but then put a bit of a Japanese twist on that, so you'll find these Navajo patterned kimonos and naragis and that sort of thing. Nanamika and non-native are other good examples of this kind of style, which take some American ideas and some Japanese ones. Unfortunately, both those come in at a lower price to the prohibitively expensive Visvim. So the result is well-worn jeans or cords and a nice relaxed cut paired together with a colourful overshirt or a naragi or something in extended proportions, and then mixed with some kind of boot or a chunky casual shoe. And those things together do make up one facet of John Mayer's style, things which on first glance look like classic American clothing, but then they will have that Japanese twist and something that makes them a little bit different and a bit unique, and will make someone like John Mayer stand out. On top of this, John adds a further dimension by incorporating more brands. So he's a big fan of Japanese streetwear, things like double taps, Capital, Neighborhood, and also the odd luxury fashion item, things like Louis Vuitton carry goods, and other high fashion brands like Balenciaga and stuff too. Sometimes these will be worn traditionally, and by that I mean similar kinds of brands and clothing all worn together, but sometimes, as I mentioned before, they'll be mixed in with those other sorts of brands. You'll have Acronym paired with some Japanese streetwear on the upper half, or you'll have some British, Asian inspired stuff on the bottom half, and then American things on the top half. There's lots lots of different combinations that John Mayer will use based on this wider pool of brands which are primarily Japanese but from all over the world, which he is interested in and things that he likes. This means there's lots of different combinations, and you will see that John Mayer over the years has had a very eclectic wardrobe. But these brands that I've mentioned already, specifically those Japanese brands, those are really the go-to ones, the ones to look at first if you see something that John Mayer's wearing and you're thinking, that's a kind of style that I want to copy and I want to do something similar to that. I would say specifically Visvim is really the area that you want to move towards. Looking at these aesthetics and the images that I've presented already might give you some indication of how to go about dressing like John Mayer and how to go about using those brands to create some of the different looks that he puts out. But that's not quite what I want you to take away from this video. Instead, I want to bring up two key points about his attitude to fashion, how that informs the way he dresses, and how that might inform the way that we want to dress as well. These are things that he mentions in the John Mayer's Greatest Fits article that appeared in GQ a couple of months ago, and I'll put a link to that down in the description because I think it's quite insightful and it's a good read, so it's worth checking out. The first is really something that runs through the whole article, and it's the idea of clothing taking on new life and gaining value by being worn. That's kind of at odds with hypebeast culture and to an extent fashion culture generally at the moment, which often is all about the latest season, the best quality things in 10 out of 10 condition, things you wear once to post on Instagram and then you sell them or you never wear them again. Battle scars and things becoming your own through wearing them half to death are clearly something that John Mayer values. He references doing things like writing his own name in the labels of things that he knows he wants to keep, which A, helps give it its own identity, and B, really encourages him to wear it and get maximum utility and use out of it. So dressing like John Mayer is not just about wearing the things that he's wearing, buying the things that he's buying, but wearing your own clothes, making them yours through your own use and your own activities. That's definitely a good attitude to have if we're talking getting the maximum value from clothing, because let's face it, a lot of this stuff is pretty expensive. And rather than keeping it on a shelf, trying to keep it nice forever, why not make use out of it? Really show that you're getting that maximum value and extracting the maximum utility from your wardrobe. And sure, maybe your favorite shoes do get beaten up over time, but that's all part of the journey. And eventually, you might end up with something that looks even better than when they were brand new. The second is a more specific idea, and it's something that he links to photo 5 in the GQ article. And I put this at the end because this really nails everything that we've talked about in terms of identifying John Mayer's style. And I also think it's something that a lot of people, including myself, can take inspiration and take some value from. He says, the more influences you can take in and the finer you can chop up each one into tiny particles, the better you can reform your own take on things. Don't copy the object, copy the atoms that make up the object. To put that another way, John is more concerned with the individual elements of clothing items and putting those things together in a way that makes sense to him, finding those different threads and things which can link to items which, at face value, might belong to different categories or groups or aesthetics. And it's here where we really come to the root of why John Mayer is so willing to wear American-designed Fear of God Nikes with Asian-inspired British streetwear, or retro track jackets with ultra-modern Acronym Prestos. It's much easier, of course, to categorize things. This is techwear, so I'll wear it with other techwear stuff, or this is Japanese streetwear, so I'll wear it with other things that look similar. And certainly thinking about fashion in that way is far more considered than what most people will do, and if you follow that approach, I'm sure you'll end up being better dressed than most people out there. But John Mayer is not considered a style icon by many people for following those conventions and following those categories, but rather being willing to cross-reference and find those influences and reassemble things in unconventional ways. So to dress like John Mayer, and perhaps to change the way that you look at fashion, be conscious of the idea that each item of clothing is not just one thing, like techwear or Japanese streetwear or Americana, but made up of all kinds of influences and colours and inspiration that can link to others in all kinds of different ways, not just the surface level obvious ways. Think outside the box, to use that rather dirty marketing term, and you might find yourself creating an outfit which both looks good and helps represent you personally and individually. Then again, he also says you shouldn't take fashion too seriously, and here we are at the tail end of a 10-minute or so analysis. So maybe I should be taking that advice to heart instead. At least I'm self-aware, I guess. That was my take on John Mayer. I appreciate that there is a lot to talk about with him. I didn't even mention sneakers, for example, and he is a massive sneaker fan, and that informs a massive part of his style as well. But I try to pick a few different focused elements and then use that to make a point, I suppose. But anyway, let me know what you think about John Mayer's style in the comments. Do you love him? Do you hate him? What would you rate him? And is there a particular thing that you like about what he does? Or maybe you particularly dislike him? Maybe you don't like the way that he approaches fashion? Either way, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like. It is super appreciated. And thank you so much for watching. And we'll be back next week with another video. Shout out to everyone that left savage comments about the cold wool Nikes. We had a couple of good ones. What if we put a laptop charger on a crepe? Imagine getting curb stomped by someone wearing these. This collab is a meme. I was waiting for Nike sneakers with tail lights. Man, those are hideous, and they're still around because they're shite. And shout out to Blashed Finn. I think you are one of the few people that actually like them and has been wearing them. So I hope you've been getting some good use out of them. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you want to catch some more vids, there's going to be videos up there near the head. And if you haven't subscribed yet, then definitely think about doing so, because there's going to be new techwear videos every single week. I've got a bunch of cool ideas already, loads of stuff coming up. So yeah, keep an eye out. Be a hydrated boy. That's all I'm going to say. That's good drinking.